Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Feel free to give us a call anytime, 612-504-8400. Set up a time, just a consultation to visit with us. We'll visit with you, ask a lot of questions. You have nothing to lose. It's still a continuing of education, which we're very big into education. Just had 3 classes this week. They're very well attended. Maximize Social Security and Tax, wills, trusts, and legacy planning, and others that are on our website. We encourage you. All materials are always provided, and they truly are educational. I know some people's fears sometimes, if you're listening as well, if I come to one of those events, they're going to try to sell me on something, and that is not going to be the case. We certainly help out a lot of people through education, but it's a good place to start because many times I've heard the saying, education is the potential for power. It's what you do with it that really matters. So again, glad you're listening. We'd love to be a resource in any of these retirement areas. It was the goal 11 years ago to put multiple personalities in all these retirement on these retirement topics. And just this past week, I bet you I heard it at least 5 times. Wow, it's so nice to have everything under the same roof where there's communication, coordination. It is truly the best compliment that I could ever get.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful experience for people to have everything under one roof, as you said, coordination and collaboration, and that makes such a difference for folks. 612-504-8400. That is how you reach the folks there, the professionals at Haven Financial Group. We said right off the top that we're talking about a healthy retirement, and we're talking about it in 2 different ways. We're obviously talking about the financial part of a healthy retirement, but we're also talking about the physical part of it, because if you are physically healthy, that certainly helps that financial portion of it. We've talked for the last couple of segments with Glenn Ramey, an insurance expert there at Haven, about health insurance. And now we want to talk a little bit about recalibrating your lifestyle in retirement in an effort to make sure that you stay in that healthy place so that you can enjoy those years, both physically, and you can enjoy them not, worrying about that financial stress that might come on with unforeseen health issues. You talk to a lot of people about just this issue, don't you, Larry? Because it's not just about finances there at Haven Financial Group.
No, it's not at all. You get to that retirement date, and now what? All those years of accumulation, going to work, your social network, the people you work with, all those years, and now you're into a new season of life. What's your purpose going to be? And I hope people really, truly give this some thought prior to them retiring. Timing of when you retire here in Minnesota, I've heard it many times. The fall is not necessarily the best time because we're going into winter. Of course, you can retire anytime you want to, but I'm just saying I've heard it. I wished I would have retired in the spring, not in the fall. Again, what's going to give you fulfillment? Do you have hobbies? Do you think you're going to golf every single day? Probably not. Fish, volunteering, whatever it is, because you got to find something to do. Because too many times over all the years I've done this, those that have found nothing to do, it didn't bode well for them, Kim. It really, really didn't. And they deteriorate. Sure. And I've seen it too many times. And we got to take care of ourselves, of course. And that's an important part is where do you find your purpose?
Absolutely. Well, we come out of working for so many years and we've had routine. And while we look so forward to getting out of that routine, I think after you get out of a routine, you recognize how important the routine was to both your physical and your mental health. So I'm sure you really stress to folks that you can be in retirement and be flexible, but at the same time, you do need to find a routine.
You do. Maybe that's every morning going to the health club, getting some walking in, doing whatever it is to maintain that mental acuteness, that mental wellness to help you maybe avoid the emotional ups and downs. Unfortunately, the anxiety that we see people get into seems like more than ever with the anxiety that's created or depression for a variety of reasons. And maybe that is because they didn't save financially for retirement. That can cause that. Or, they just haven't found their social network or their friendships have changed so drastically. And maybe you're an introvert, not an extrovert, and that doesn't come easy for you. And I've seen that and I get it. But it's really what's going to be your niche in retirement. What
Mhm.
is that going to be? Um, Again, thinking about that and seriously giving it thought before you retired. And then for couples, we can laugh about it and joke about it all you want, but for couples that have gone their separate ways 5 days a week for how many years, and now they're retiring. Oh, honey,
Mhm.
I see you more often now than I've seen you in the last 50 years. Well, that can be a transition. That's okay. In fact, it's why we oftentimes encourage maybe a 30-day or 60-day stagger between spouses as far as that retirement date, so you can ease into the transition.
Sure.
Because I just heard it this week. This couple, she's been retired in this case for the last, I don't know, 9 to 12 months. She's kind of developed her routine. Now at the end of this month, he's going to retire. And she goes, well, I have my routine, so I don't know what he's going to do. He's
Right.
going to have to find his own routine.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
he's not going to mess up my routine because I haven't. And we think it is funny at times, but there is a transition. You have to expect it. You have to figure it out. And oftentimes it's not going to be figured out for you.
Absolutely. That is so, so true. I would imagine that you speak to a lot of people who spend the first 6, 8 months, maybe 9 months, enjoying, maybe doing a little traveling right off the bat, sleeping in. And then they get to that place where they say, wow, this is not going to be exactly what I thought. I might need to go back to work or at least work part time. What's your advice to them?
You know, I do hear it more often than you think.
I bet.
Consulting, I see this with a variety of different positions. You know what? I retired, but they call me back as a consultant, and there's
Right.
flexibility. Nobody said when you retire you can't go work a few hours, or part time work at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever it may be, Menards or something. And I make cutting the grass at the golf course to give you free green fees, and maybe that can help the budget. There's nothing to say that, and we do hear it quite often with nurses, because it seems like we have tons of clients, thankfully, that are in the healthcare field, and nurses and stuff like that. They can work flexible hours. There's a need for them, and they can go down from 40, 50 hours to maybe 10 to 20 hours.
Sure.
And sometimes that's an easy transition. So we want people to explore all options as far as what the retirement looks like. But then we can't forget about the financial piece, because this is Haven Financial Group's radio show about finances. And
Right.
do you have a plan? It takes money in retirement. Have you adequately saved for retirement? If you're listening and you don't know if you have a plan, or you haven't revisited for how long, we want to make sure we factor in our plan the need to do the things you want to do in addition to the things you need to do. Because at the end of the day, if you haven't planned financially for retirement, retirement might not be what you want it to be. And that would be very unfortunate for the golden years, to not be as fruitful as you were hoping. And that's what we're trying to avoid. That's what at Haven Financial Group, we're able to help lots of people get to their retirement date successfully. And because they've been thinking about this and doing this for a while, if you're listening and you haven't started, it's never too early to start. So that's where we'd love to be a resource. And that starts by simply having a conversation.
Absolutely. And the way you have that conversation is you pick up the phone and you dial 612-504-8400. This is one of the ways. You can certainly do it anyway. And let them know that you've heard us here on the radio and that you'd like to set up a free consultation to come in, sit down with the experts there, have some wonderful coffee, some good cookies, and just chat. It's an opportunity for you to get to know and to visit with the professionals there to see if you think that that's a good match for you as you put together one of the most important plans you'll put together in your lifetime. It also gives the folks at Haven Financial Group an opportunity to ask you some questions that maybe you haven't thought about, and it helps you to make more decisions about whether this is the right time to retire, or if you need to wait for just a bit. Maybe you have another year or two in you. 612-504-8400 is that number. Give them a call. Set up an appointment now. Go and visit with the folks there at Haven Financial Group. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation about a healthy retirement. A healthy retirement really requires, of course, physical health. We just talked about, and mental health. And we talked about some of the ways, maybe, and some of the things that you want to think about before retiring to make sure that you're in a good routine, that you're doing what gives you joy. But we want to talk about stable finances, because that certainly leads to more happiness and will protect your health. So we'll talk more about what it takes to retire and what some of the things that you need to be thinking about. This is the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.